Yo, CypherTalk. We're here with Jonel, one of my buddies from like a while now, for over like 10 years, I think, right?
Yeah.
So do you want to introduce yourself real quick for those who don't know you, even though like our audience should probably know you, they're like dance geeks. So
Okay, Dance Geeks. What's up, guys? This is Jonel Fabro coming to you live from Canadian Footwear today. For those who don't know me, probably dancer, hip hopper, since 2004, 2005.
yeah,
So,
that's since like CCAT came out,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So we actually met playing basketball together for WAAY.
yeah.
And it was like I believe it was my second year playing basketball,
Yeah.
so I was still not that great. And I think we were both posts. It's hard to say.
Yeah. You're Shaq, baby Shaq.
And who else was on our team? You remember?
Yeah, I know. Casey Simbalan.
Yeah, who's cutting hair now?
Cuts hair now.
Barber.
Andrew Ledesma.
Yep. And he kept
Who
playing.
else is there? There was Terrence Natividad. I don't know if you remember who
Yeah,
that
I
is.
remember Terrence. He used to be like really short. I don't know how tall he is now, but
Yeah. Who else is there? Jeffrey Mariano.
yeah, Jeffrey Mariano, his brother. I see his brother's face everywhere with those
Yeah.
real estate
Yeah.
signs.
Yeah.
Who else was on that team? There was
Yeah.
quite a few others, but yeah, I remember those guys for sure. Sorry if I'm missing anybody, but well, I am missing people. So, but yeah, we met back then. That was like 2002 or 2003 or something.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
It's a long time ago. And then like I found out you danced, and I'm like, oh shoot, this guy dances. And I think I messaged you on Facebook like when I was in high school, maybe 2006 or something. What high school did you go to?
I went to Daniel.
Daniel
Yeah.
Mac. That had a pretty good dance scene as well, right? If I remember correctly.
Yeah. It really kind of started off when I was going there. Like, Angel and Runs Live Dance Center and everything.
Mm-hmm.
He was starting to dance when I was in high school. And then that's when the Pandas were starting to kind of make a name for themselves as well.
Nice.
So it kind of just all those guys just was there. Like Brainiac, and then was there. Like, I don't know if you know other guys like SWAT. SWAT were there.
SWAT, yeah. Actually, I think one of the former members, Johnny, he works here.
Oh yeah, Johnny.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Nappy, and all those guys went to Daniel. What was it?
What are those sounds, bro?
It's a MacBook.
Oh shit. Okay.
But yeah, those guys were there, and kind of it was cool. Just the vibe out with those guys. They're just there all the time.
Because I was at Sisler, and like at that time, like I'll say 2005, 2006. That's when all the like dance groups were coming out. Like there was Big Sky.
Yeah.
Who turned into Unite later on, and then CCAT started like 2005.
Yeah.
And how did you get into dancing? Because like I knew you for a while. You were just like playing basketball, and that's all I knew you from, right? That's just the world. I knew you from. Then you started dancing. I'm like, oh, I didn't know. Started dancing. How did you get into dancing?
I don't know, man. It's just kind of I was forced into it actually.
Oh,
Yeah, like my older sister, she got me into it. But like what Fresh Prince growing up.
Yeah,
I watched that. So like, I would mimic like Carlton and Will just for jokes, right? And I do that at school and whatnot. Yeah, man, I would just do that stuff for fun. And then I want to say 2004, like I got introduced to it through my sister.
what's your sister's name?
Her name is Joy. She's Joy Ann Reyes now.
Mm-hmm.
But she used to dance with McDarrigat,
Okay.
like folk dancing and stuff. And she used to teach like debuts and whatnot. So my god sister, it was her 18th birthday, and I guess one of their members or her friends dropped out, and my sister was teaching. So for the convenience here, let's just put her kid brother in it. I can just teach him at home. And then I guess she realized I was kind of naturally like I could take it on.
Yeah.
And then she just forced me into it. It's like, okay, you're going to join this group I'm going to make. And you're just gonna be in it. Like, okay, sure, why not?
Nice.
Let's do it. So yeah, it wasn't something I just like. Okay, I'm gonna become a dancer. It was just yeah, do this. All right, and I just rolled with it.
How long did you dance with CCAT for?
I want to say on and off for a couple years. Like I started out with them when they first started, like 2004, 5, and then I would just like quit or I'd step away,
Right.
do my own thing,
Right.
and then I come back. I think I came back in like 2007 or 8 or 9. Then I'd go away again, and then come back for 2011. Went down to Chicago with them, and then take some time off.
Oh yeah.
And
I remember you talking about that. You're like, yo, come to Chicago. I'm like, oh, I can't. I got no money right now.
yeah. So I just did that and kind of just. So I've been on and off with them for a few years. But yeah, that's just.
How did Assorted Goodies come together?
Assorted Goodies.
Yeah, I always was wondering about the story behind that because it was like some. I don't know. You guys just put yourselves together, I guess. But like, what's the story behind that one?
So I don't know. I'm not really good with timelines, but there was a point in time where there was this car show. I think it was called Driven.
Yeah.
And they had this contest like Winnipeg's best dance crew or something like that.
Yeah.
So I forget what year it was. Like you ask around, I'm pretty sure they remember. But it was one year. It was CCAT entered, and then I don't know who else entered. It was like I don't know. Maybe Unite at the time.
Yeah.
Or then there's Dummy Squad. I don't know if you remember who they are.
Dummy Squad. Yeah, we'll get to that. Because I have questions about that too. If you know anything about that.
Okay, so Dummy Squad, and then CCAT, and then there was like, and then so that happened, and then I guess I can't remember who won. I think it was CCAT who won, but I wasn't part of it at that time where I just stepped away.
Yeah.
And then the following year, that same group. I was with them again now, was to enter again, but I think a lot of people weren't down. And so CCAT decided not to do it.
Okay.
And then there was a few of us at the time who were really into it and still down to dance and perform. And so it was myself, the De La Rosa twins or the siblings.
Are they twins?
No, they're not siblings.
I was like, what? Like, no, I never heard that before.
They just look alike. But it's Jeff and Vanessa.
Wait, who's older?
Jeff's older.
Jeff is older. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Jeff's older, and then they're really into it. You know, no one else was down. So like, hey, let's enter. Like maybe let's get a group together, just like random misfits who are down to do it. So it's more just a collaboration of friends coming together. So it was me, Jeff, Vanessa, and then I reached out to Joel.
Right.
Joel Natok.
Yeah.
And then as well as Mark Bale. And,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then Casey Simbulin, and Brendan Vertusio.
Oh, okay.
So the idea was...
So Brendan Vertusio was part of it too, eh?
Yeah, like the very first...
iteration of a...
Yeah. So
nice.
It was cool at the time because there's like, okay, how would we... what's our name and what's the whole kind of premise behind this group? So it's like Jeff, the lead choreographer, and then of course you have the girl, which is Vanessa, and you have the kind of the showman, kind of good like in your face attitude type of performer, which is Casey.
Yeah.
Right. Like he's quite the presence, and then you have the youngin. Yeah, really in your face. If you ever see him perform. Then you have Brendan, who was the youngin at the time. I think he was like in his teens still.
Oh, okay.
And then you had the B-boys, Joel and Bale, and then you had the freestyler and me. And then and then we just came together. I think I was really into. I don't know how we came up with the term. Like we have an assortment of goods.
Yeah.
I think I was eating cookies at the time, and then like the assorted chocolates, whatever. So. And you're like, yo, assorted goodies. And then it just went from there. Then we joined. People loved it. People liked it. And then we just started to get more, I don't know, praise or recognition and invites. And we just, okay, I guess let's just keep doing it.
Yeah, I think you got, yeah, you guys performed at was it the Break for Bread, or like that was like 3 or 4 years ago? Remember that one that was like outside at Opera? Were you part of that?
I was supposed to be part of that. Yeah, I remember that. And then
I know Jeff was there. I remember seeing
yeah,
Jeff, and I
yeah,
think Vanessa.
yeah. Jeff, Vanessa, I think Joel was there as well. Yeah, I remember that. I had a bum knee at the time.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
because you got pretty injured at one point, right? Like what had happened to you?
Yeah, after high school, first year university, I blew up my knee.
Ooh, that's not good.
Yeah,
That's Alex, by the way.
Yeah, I'm doing other things, but I'm still here.
Because people don't know that you're in this. Like,
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I'm
who the hell is that guy?
like, oh damn, you got real.
What the fuck is Weezer doing over there?
Yeah, I blew up my knee actually. I tore my ACL 09, and then threw ball, and then I took time off a good year, kind of just rehab and get stuff together, and then came back, started training. That's when I decided to go kind of dance a little bit more seriously, and then went down to Chicago, and everything else happened from there.
Okay, cool. So let's go back to Dummy Squad.
Okay.
And because I remember when Dummy Squad came out, and I was like, oh shit, it's Dummy Squad. Because
Yeah.
I don't know, it's some kind of weird allure
Yeah,
that,
they're
that
cool,
was
man.
associated with them. And I was like, oh, cool. And at one point, actually, I don't know if people know this, I asked Jeff Umendap
Yeah.
if I could be part of Dummy Squad.
Oh,
And he's like,
okay.
no, we're not accepting anybody right now.
Okay,
Like,
yeah.
but he said it nicely. He's like,
Yeah.
oh, I Facebook messaged him. He's like, no, we're not really looking for new members right now.
Yeah.
So, but I was like, oh, okay, fine.
Yeah.
But do you remember how that started? Or do you know the story? 'Cause I don't really know too much. about it.
Yeah. Most of those dancers are from CCAT too. Actually, it's just the same case too. I think they just want to do their own thing. They're just more a group of friends than like let's make a group to take over the world kind of deal.
Yeah.
So they just started their own thing, and then
And who is part of that? Remember?
let's see
Was
if I
it
can
Mark
remember.
Domingo?
Yeah, Mark Domingo was in that.
Jeff Umendap?
Umendap, Kevin Tapan,
Justin Surratt.
Justin Surratt, Andrew Franco, Neil, I forget his last name. Neil's in it. Glenn Bonifacio.
Okay.
There's a couple ladies in there too. I forget the names. April, I think Ariane, and Stephanie. Yeah, I don't know if you know these people, but
Some of them I did. Yeah,
yeah.
some of them. Yeah.
yeah, look them up. Yeah, they're cool. They had a lot of good qualities and swagger to them.
And they had that whole sign with the Dummy Squad with their fingers. You guys can't see what I'm doing.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like they had their fingers like this.
Yeah,
and they'd
yeah.
be like, and their head would be bobbling
Yeah.
and stuff. And I was like, oh, it's kind of cool.
Yeah, they're cool.
But yeah, like just to imagine like how many dancers we've seen, like, 'cause sometimes it's just like a thing that they do for a while, which is cool, right?
Yeah.
And they kind of go away. But so many dancers you see, and then like some of them go, and then more dancers come in.
Yeah.
Because you kind of seen, even though you've been gone and come back and gone, come back a little bit with like how you're saying with CCAT. Have you seen like a difference between today's dancers and dancers from like 2005, 2006, or whatever? That's like a good solid 10 years that you kind of seen how it's gone.
Depends on like what scene you're referencing to, like, cause like just dancers in general.
Yeah, like you could talk about the freestylers or the choreography side of it, or because you've been part of pretty much all of it. So
Yeah, like I see now. I think there's way more. There's so much more dancers, which is super cool. Versus like 10 years ago. Imagine, 10 years ago, eh? Sheesh.
yeah,
But yeah, I think it's nothing different. I think people were more like down to explore before, I guess. Like we'd have people coming in all the time. I think that was more of a focus. I don't know if you remember that, but they would try to get people from like California like all the time.
Yeah.
Up here.
oh yeah.
So-
like what's his name? Sean Evaristo.
Yeah,
used to
that was a
come
big
here.
deal. Like that guy was like the guy when it came to the choreography scene here.
Yeah.
And then I know a lot of people kind of like that California,
And
San
it was a
Francisco
huge
style.
like influence as far as Winnipeg. Winnipeg like took a lot of that,
Yeah.
that influence from
Yeah.
who's it called? Cabin Modern
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Gen 2.
Yeah.
And a short little side story. Jeff Humandab also showed me this. We were at his place for an after party to this musical theater show that we did at Tistler. And
Yeah.
he's like, I'm going to show you these. And this is kind of before YouTube was really big. So he still had the files of it that he downloaded.
I know
like,
those files,
on
man.
Kazaa
Yeah.
or something, or Morpheus or
Yeah.
some shit.
Yeah.
And he showed it to me. I'm like, oh fuck! And they were killing like the music, like little
Yeah.
things they would find
Yeah.
in the music, and like just kill that. And I'm like, oh shit, this is crazy.
Yeah.
So that's a short story, but yeah, you could go back to Sean Evaristo and like people exploring and stuff.
Yeah.
That's just a side story.
I feel like with the, I guess the choreo scene, a lot of it was based off that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know with CCAT, a lot of it was very, I want to say inspired by like Gen 2 and Sean Everstow and that whole scene. Because those guys is like, whoa, want to look like those guys. And then fast forward now, I think there's a good mix of people trying to experiment with stuff, like, or even add to their routines or whatnot.
Yeah.
And I like the freestylers. I like how it's all, the community is a little bit more accepting of one another.
Yeah. Oh, do you have a story? I think I hear a story behind those words, yo.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Before it was just like, because hanging around the b-boys and whatnot, it was very just, this is the b-boy scene, like, and then this is the choreographed dance scene.
Yeah.
And then there's a whole studio scene that no one was ever even like been a part of or know how that works. But it was very, I feel like it was very divided. And then I was like kind of stuck between the two because I was in that choreography scene of dance. And then I was cool with guys who b-boyed and whatnot. So I just took what I'd learned from those guys and I just did it on my own. But no one was really doing what I was doing at the time. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that because there was definitely like almost like a battle between choreography dancers or like people who are part of a dance team and then b-boys.
Yeah.
And then like some hate going
Yeah.
back and forth, which is when you think about it, it's nonsense because you guys are both dancing, right? Like,
Yeah.
It's just a different kind of form of
Yeah.
of the same expression. So
I think it's just misunderstandings. Like people didn't really know how like man, that's not, because it's labeled as like hip hop, right?
Yeah.
Hip hop dancing, but it's doing routines. That
it was that, and I think it's also people clinging to like people like to be part of tribes.
Okay,
groups,
yeah,
and then, like,
yeah.
That's part of like, I'm with the choreography dance scene, or I'm with like this group or whatever. And
Yeah.
like, oh no, I'm with the freestylers or
Yeah.
freestylers, and like So I think it's part of that too. But that's a big point that hip hop. I think it's a little like a tiny bit more understood now with people in the scene.
Yeah.
That usually what people teach in classes is not hip hop. It's just like an urban style choreography, right?
Yeah. And if
So-
you look at it now, like if you look at the more, I guess, well-known choreographers and whatnot, they're doing more experimenting things, and it's kind of, if you look at it, I don't know. People can have their own opinions, but I don't really get a hip hop vibe to it.
Yeah.
Right? It's very expressive. Like I see a little bit more like contemporary feel to it now, but it's more to like urban music or a hip hop.
There's a lot
feel.
of fusing going on.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is the
Which
thing.
is cool. But
Because we've had this discussion. I've had this discussion with a few other people on this podcast about like, for example, Manitoba Dance Festival. It's the category is called hip hop, but anything street you could kind of throw into there, right? Like,
Yeah.
like you could throw in house, which is technically not hip hop, but you could put it in there. I put strutting in there. I put locking. I put popping, and their category, like, I guess you just use the hip hop name as just a broad statement for whatever else.
It's like an umbrella term.
Yeah, for everything.
Yeah.
Which is not really true. I think they should change the name, but I don't think they will anytime soon.
Yeah.
But what are your thoughts on that? Because you've choreographed for Manitoba Dance Festival, right?
Yeah. I got into that like a couple of years ago. kind of test the water, see what it's like. And I was very taken back of like the lack of knowledge and what's going on in that scene. But it's cool now. Like what I like from seeing that is if you go to any of the studios, like most of the teachers running it are either have been like dealt with or had a part in Unite or Project or CCAT, right? If you look at every dance studio, they probably have one person who came from there.
Which I mean, they have like a basic understanding of, well, at least like a little bit of an understanding of what styles are, rather than like I guess if you could say 10 years ago, probably what was happening was it's a lot of studio teachers were like they were just doing street jazz mostly. That's what I think it was. Like I went to Manitoba Dance Festival when I was like 12 or 13 with a novice group. But as far as I know, that's what was going on, unless they had breaking in it or something like that. Because who was taking in that information of like, oh, this is hip hop or whatever, or this is like a street dance style. So it's definitely changing. I think it's changing slowly, but it's changing.
Yeah, I think it's getting better. Like I was listening on that podcast with Lester. Like they're getting better adjudicators.
Yeah.
And everything.
Oh, I'm gonna be adjudicator, by the way.
Oh, sweet, nice.
Yeah. I took a course with Patrick. Hilario, and at the studio that we teach at, and so that's gonna be happening. But
so anybody, probably any studio who's coming with pop and are gonna get like terrible scores.
You gotta do it right, man. You gotta do it right. No, did you hear about that thing? I talked about this with Lester a lot. But when Natasha Gori came here for the Manitoba Dance Festival,
I was still doing studio at the time there.
Yeah, I think I saw you. I think I saw you at that year at Manitoba Dance Festival.
Yeah, I remember that.
And you saw like what she was doing, or you heard about what she like. Yeah, some of the stuff.
I liked her, man. She was
I
awesome.
liked her too, man. She's freaking sick, and she was just telling the truth. That's and honestly, this is what I keep saying this, but I think it's important to say is that everybody should know. Like everybody should know at least. Oh, that looks like popping. That looks like locking. That looks like house. That looks like whacking, or whatever street style it is, and that looks like jazz. That shouldn't be in this category. Like that's cool. Just put it like call it something else or put it in a different category. And have you ever seen her freestyle? Like in the battles or anything?
No, I think I saw a clip, but I never really seen her in person. I remember there was a jam while she was there, and then I was trying to sneak away from the whole weekend to go to there, and I was like, "Yo, you should go check this out after," but just tied up with what was going on there. But it's cool. Like
she's insane. She's like I saw her at Vancouver Street Dance Festival about like 3 years ago, I think. Yeah. Again, I'm kind of bad with timelines sometimes, but I went there and I saw her freestyle. I was like, oh man, her hip hop freestyle is insane. Yeah. And then when I found out she was adjudicating, I'm like, oh shoot, damn, it's crazy.
Yeah, I gotta look her up. She's crazy.
Are there any dancers that you like watching? Like oh, I'm a fan of this person. I'm a fan of that person. Because I'm kind of like I'm a geek that way where I watch certain dancers and I'm like, oh, this guy's sick.
Yeah, like local or anybody? Anybody? I don't know, man. I follow a lot of people. Well,
I want to see if I know them. That's why.
Yeah. Let's say people not local. I don't know if you know Beat Buddy Boy.
Beat Buddy Boy, no.
Yeah,
no.
You should look them up. These guys, they're hip hoppers from Japan, so they're pretty sweet. And who else I follow? Wadi from France.
Wadi's sick. Yeah, Wadi, yeah. Wadi has like Wadi's a.
Yeah, I like Wadi. I like Nieko.
Nieko, yeah, I know Nieko.
He's also from France as well. Who else is there? Jabberwockies. Like grew up watching on those guys. Who else is there? Like the Kinjas. Some of those guys from the Kinjas I used to follow a lot before. And Yeah, I know. I follow a lot of Japan people, just random Japan people.
Yeah, like little kids just smoke you. It's like,
Yeah.
yo, about this kid,
Yeah.
it probably sucks. He just like smokes you. Just like,
Yeah.
there's this one video of Kite. Do you know who Kite
Yeah.
is?
Yeah.
He's battling this kid, and this kid is just killing it. And all I'm thinking in my head while I'm watching is like, oh shoot, Kite man, I
Yeah.
don't know if you should accept this battle. Like this is
Yeah.
this is crazy.
Yeah.
Um,
I follow a lot of guys, like, cause that's them. But then I follow, like Elite Force,
Yeah.
Ijo Wilson. There's this, I forgot his name, but he's a sick b-boy from Japan, but he incorporates house in a lot of his stuff.
mhm.
And then he competes in house, but he's like a b-boy feel to it. B-boys as well. I follow like Thesis and that the youngin from Japan. I think it's like Icy or something like that. I can't pronounce his name.
Oh, okay.
But then yeah, Thesis, Why Not?
Why Not's crazy.
Yeah, like Why Not?
It's
too.
top rock.
Yeah, man, he's crazy.
He's so fast and like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. Do you remember when Le Twins was here?
Yeah, I remember that too.
Did you watch their show? That it was like a Cirque du Soleil thing that they were.
Oh yeah. When they did the
Michael
Michael Jackson, yeah.
Yeah.
Salah was there too, eh?
Oh shoot! So you got to see Salah, and Le Twins
Yeah.
perform.
He was the main guy.
Salah.
Yeah.
Oh shit! Yeah.
It was Michael Jackson. I guess it was like, I don't know if he was the spirit of Michael Jackson, but he's all painted in silver, and then he was like navigating through the whole show, and then you'd
Crazy.
see his like, all his signature moves, like this crazy stall where he's like almost parallel to the ground, and
Yeah, like a hollow back.
yeah, and then his hat tricks, and then like I think even the tissue trick. But then
Tissue. Yeah.
the twins were there too, so
My buddy Dean was in Australia, and he told me this story. He's like, yeah, I saw Salah in Australia. He was street performing in Australia.
what?
Yeah, so he saw him
Crazy.
like up close, like right, and he's doing the tissue trick
Yeah,
and
yeah.
blowing the tissue and all that. And it's like, oh fuck, you got to see Salah like right
Yeah.
like in front of your face.
Crazy.
That's insane, man.
I used to follow like a lot. I used to follow that stuff a lot, and then I just stopped.
Let's talk about your freestyling for a moment, because I think that's one that has been like, people are like, I'm still kind of blown away by it because of the fact, like, since like 2009, you remember 2009 Rep Your Step?
Yeah.
Or did you win that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you won. Yeah.
Mhm.
You were versing Surrett in the finals or something?
Was it
Surrett?
Surrett? Yeah, it was Surrett in the finals.
How, like, what's your process, like your creative process when you're like freestyling? Because it seems to like, you seem to mold into whatever music that they throw in, no matter what it is.
Mm-hmm. I don't know, man. I'm pretty weird. Like, I think it was. I had this conversation with Jeannie maybe a couple weeks ago, actually, and even with Kellyanne the other day, and it was like, I think it's just the way I hear the music.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's different or anything like that, but I grew up on like my brother. Shout out to my brother. When the music I listened to was always remixed. So it'd always be like vocals on different tracks,
Okay.
right? So it'd be like Biggie, right? Because Biggie beats are very, common, they're distinct, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it'd be like Biggie's vocals on nothing but Tupac tracks,
Oh,
or Biggie on like Busta or Clips or the Neptunes or
so your brother had this type of music?
yeah. That's
Where
what I grew up on.
Where did he get it from?
I have no idea. Like illegal downloads.
What's your brother's name again?
Ernell.
Erno. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was a coach.
He's
for
our
back-
he coached us, man.
for a while.
Yeah. So he had all that type of tracks. So growing up, I just had this type of music, and then like, I don't know, I could just, because for me, it's like every song, the lyrics have a mood, create a mood, like a message,
Mhm.
right? And then I don't know if where I saw this was like Salah or Ijo, but it's like, without the music, it's just movements, right? There's no, like,
Yeah.
what does it mean?
It doesn't make any sense without music.
Yeah.
Like,
So
if you saw somebody dancing without music, it's like, okay, they're dancing, but like, where's the music? Like,
yeah,
it's crazy. person.
exactly. You're just
That's what Sirla used to say actually too. Sirla was like we just look like crazy people.
yeah, just shimmying or whatever, right? But then when you have the music, it's like I don't know if it's like, for me, it's like it's your duty or your obligation to let that story come to life or that message come to life.
Okay.
So when I hear music, it's like, okay, how can I make this be relatable to someone who has no dance background or experience,
Okay.
right? So every time I go freestyle or I enter something, you know, if I can make you, let's say it's Jane, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, Jane, we have no connection at all. But if I do a movement and like even simple, like for example, I did a freestyle. People asked me to do something, and it was to Q-Tip's Vibrant thing, I
Okay.
think. And
Yeah.
it's like sweeter than Ben and Jerry's, right?
Yeah.
So I did just a simple movement of rubbing my tummy
Yeah.
and like put into my mouth like a spoon eating. Right, and there's like 3 dudes, they're tripping out because like, oh, he's eating ice cream. Right? It's sweeter than Ben and Jerry's. So it's just that simple movement. Like, there's a connection there, right? I did something, and you have no, I don't know, background in hip hop, but it's like people can, they respect that because it's like, oh man, that's pretty clever, right?
Yeah. There's like some universal things that people can relate with, right?
Yeah. So it's like in that moment, in that time frame, like me and you connected, like right there.
Right.
So I don't know. That's kind of that floats in my head when I'm performing or when I'm freestyling, and then just being able to decipher like lyrics and the beat.
How have you been able to anticipate certain songs? Because I remember when you and Patrick danced in the finals of what was it? It was Winston's Jam.
Mm-hmm.
It was a 101 all styles or something. And then like you killed this song, and then I'm like, yo, you know that song? And like you're like, no, I don't know that song. I'm like, what?
I
How
didn't
did you
know that
not
song.
know that song?
Yeah.
Like Mark was like, yeah, he knows that song. I'm like, no, he didn't know that song, man.
Yeah, I didn't know that song.
Chicago, I think it was Chicago. Street Player.
Chicago Street Player.
Street Player.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, remember?
Yeah.
You were there, but
Yeah.
How have you been able to do that? Like, is it like something you just comes automatic to you, or is there something
I don't
that
know.
you do?
Honestly, I don't know. I think it's just years of listening to music.
Mm-hmm.
Because like even before I started dancing, I would always have music playing,
Okay.
right? And then be able to kind of just remember
Perhaps
it.
it's an unconscious thing that you just like, oh, there's like a pattern here. Or
Yeah.
maybe you recognize a pattern unconsciously, or you you just kind of anticipate like, oh, it's probably gonna sound like this.
Yeah, well, yeah, there's always a pattern. I learned this from Bob, actually. I took one of his classes,
Mm-hmm.
and then he was saying usually a good dancer or freestyle, if you listen to, I think it's the first 16 counts or whatever, that's usually the pattern.
Yeah.
Of the beat. And then as long as you remember, like know it, then you can always be able to anticipate it.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it's a subconscious thing now, but before, I guess, I don't know, man. It's weird.
And the thing is, like, going back to that all styles battle that you and Patrick were in the finals, that was crazy. And like that was like the first time I saw Patrick battle.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is this guy on, man?
Yeah.
Like he's doing like I guess that's how he creates his choreography, right? He just freestyles or something, and then he's like, oh, that's good, and then I'll use that. Yeah, let's go to your style again, because your style seems like really energetic and kind of hoppy at certain moments. Like there's some stuff that's like your set moves that you kind of like work off of. I feel.
Yeah.
And how did you develop that, or is that just something that you just like, oh, this feels cool, I'll do this?
Yeah. I think when I got really into wanting to freestyle, I got into watching a lot of, it was actually from you. You suggested it, like to watch a lot of, you should watch Elite Force.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you guys hear that? I say some important stuff sometimes too.
So when you told me to go check out that link, I think that just gave me like, oh, yo, I want to be able to do this stuff. Like just the bounce, just that hip hop bounce. Like usually you see Link do it a lot.
Yeah.
Just like the crisscrossing of his legs, and then just having that the legwork and the footwork of that bounce. I really like that, and then I just started incorporating that because I started growing up my hair with the flat top.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
man, that flat top was crazy long.
Yeah.
Yo, that was crazy high.
Yeah.
This flat top used to be like up to here. You can't see my hand, but
Oh shit! Like that kid from Hey Arnold.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
oh,
Gerald.
yeah,
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 like
yeah,
Gerald.
yeah, he looked like Gerald, man. Like
Yeah.
that was crazy.
So I think it was a time where I was kind of looking to create an image, because I always rock like old school 90s Bulls attire whenever I battled.
Yeah.
And then I had my old school flat top Kid and Play Fresh Prince hair, and then I would do those movements, and it was very like similar to the 90s, or like a breath of fresh air of it.
Yeah.
So it kind of worked with what I was doing, but I don't know, I just liked it. It's fun to move that way, so I just kind of rolled with it.
I feel like that's part of like how you win as well, because you already sit in the pocket with that bounce, right? Like some people, when they dance, they try to dance like there's choreography already to it, like you know what I mean, like and it's kind of rigid, and there's no groove in that when they start off.
Yeah.
I feel like you kind of figure out that groove as soon as the music starts playing. Oh, I got a groove already, and then when it comes.
Well, it's just natural. Yeah.
It's similar to like to me, it's similar to Boogaloo, because with Boogaloo there's a swing of the shoulders, which is pretty iconic. It's like this, right? So it was like 1, 2. You guys can't see me again, but like my shoulders are swinging from side to side, like 1, 2, 3. Well, that's a basic groove of Boogaloo.
Yeah.
So if I were just to do Boogaloo, I'll probably be on beat for like the whole like round.
Yeah.
Right. When you go into popping, that's another thing that is get off beat.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's part of what you have with the bounce, or even if you do a rock, right? And any kind of swaying, kind of repetitive motion that's like back and forth, or that's kind of frequent. So I think that's really interesting. Have you seen? These are random thoughts that come out of my mind, but there's a video, an interview with, I think it's Larry from the Twins.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's a step-by-step video, done by Step-by-Step Productions or whatever. And he's talking about musicality, and he's in front of a laptop.
Yeah.
And then he plays this song. He's like, yeah, most people will hear this. And he points out a very obvious part in the music.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then he's like, they probably never he's like, this gets boring. This gets really boring. But people usually don't hear this. And then he does something, and you're like, oh shit, I didn't even hear that before. And then it was there in the music, but nobody hear it. He's like, nobody hear it, man. Nobody hear it. And then
I think I've seen that one.
it's so crazy. And then he does this, another example to this dubstep beat.
Oh, okay.
I think it's called Edits by Ants or something like that. It's this crazy dubstep thing. And there's a lot of like little like intricate things in the music. And he's just killing the music, just using his face and his hands, and he's just like
It's a lot of
his shirt and it's like what is he on? And he goes like this at one point with his like hand to his like nose, and like it's insane. Do you think those guys have like different kinds of ears or brains or something? Like, well, what's going on with those guys? Because they seem to catch things that are like almost impossible to catch, and they also have this weird telepathy with each other, like as twins.
Yeah, I don't know with those guys. I think it's just different type of training with them. Like they look for different things. They look for those different sounds. Because when I saw that video too, I would listen to a track. Usually if I know a song, I've heard that song like hundreds of times. That's why it looks like I know the song like off by heart. But all the process would be listen to a track, and you just listen for one sound the whole time.
Oh yes, I remember you telling me this one time.
Yeah, and then you go back and then you listen to the second sound, because regular beat just has like the bass, right? It's like boom, 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 boom. Then I just rock to that, but then there might be like a drum roll in the back somewhere. It's like doom, doom, right? Then you just wait for that, right? Then I'd mess around with that, and then if there's lyrics, so you have that constant beat and that rock, and mess around, and then if there's lyrics to it, and then mess around with the lyrics. Yeah. So there's I think that's what I do as well when it comes to like just
that's another big one too. Let's go into your judging, and you've been judging for like a good amount of time now.
Yeah.
Judging like all style battles, I should say, so people know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
What's your criteria when you're judging? I'm sure people are curious to know, especially with Who's the Illest coming
Next week
on Saturday.
Yeah.
So
promo. Go check it out. Park Theater, January 28th.
yeah, I think it's gonna be pretty big.
Yeah. My criteria. I think musicality, big thing there. Being able to hear the song, but at the same time, for me, is if I can genuinely enjoy what you're doing.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you suck or have no technical skills.
Yeah, yeah, it's just like okay.
Yeah, if you're going off and like you're getting me excited,
Yeah.
you won me over because, like, you know, you can be super technically sound, but if you're off beat and you're boring,
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm not gonna feel you, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, just if you obviously people who know their style are into it, and then they have that ear for the music, and then they can get the crowd involved too.
Yeah.
I think people who can get a crowd involved who have no fans in the crowd
Oh shoot, yeah.
that's different, because usually when I go to jams or whatever, I never invite anyone to come watch. Right?
That's insane though, like because you like do pretty well in most jams, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I find it crazy that people wouldn't want to watch you, or maybe you just don't invite them.
Well, no, I used to invite before. I'm like, yo, yeah, guys, you should come check out. And then, you know, people come. And then, so I just stopped asking. But people are like, hey, man, when's your next thing? Because I don't dance as much or as often. It's like, hey, when you're going to do something? So I don't know. From me, like, go check it out. But yeah, when it comes to judging, I think, you know, of course, know your style, whatever it is, or know you, and then listen to that music, be able to showcase it, and then get a crowd involved. Because, you know, I think a lot of times people are caught up with, you know, making an impression,
Yeah.
versus like expressing who they are. And
That's a good point.
yeah, and then, you know, I don't know if it was Ejo or even from John Surla, but you're saying that, or even Salah, it was saying that be aware that you are in a place where people are witnessing you, right? So if you acknowledge them and what you're doing, you know, and make them feel good with your performance, like you've got that, like what X factor, that extra edge. Yeah, because there's people who are sick, right? And then, you know, a lot of times they don't win.
Yeah.
Right? Or don't get ahead.
Have you seen the Breathe the Beat stuff?
Yeah.
By Salah?
Yeah.
Which is really helpful. I think that website's still up, but it was a Breathe the Beat. It was like a series of videos where Salah's teaching you some stuff.
Yeah, he talks about like snake or whatever. It's like,
yeah, like they were titled like with these cool titles like Smoke in the Water or something, or Snake in the Water or something like that. And then he'd go a little bit into his concept of how he does stuff and some of the technical stuff, but mostly it was concepts. And I thought that was interesting. Like the architect when he's tutting.
Yeah.
The tutting was like crazy. I want to ask you about this because it's something that I heard about maybe like 5 years ago, and I know today in today's like era with the battling, a lot of it's beat kills. If you beat kill, you automatically win. Like most of the time, right? It seems that's the way it's going. But what do you think about this concept of creating your own rhythm to the song? Like you're still on beat, but you're creating on top of a beat, like almost adding like a layer of
like movements or whatever
on top of the beat that's in rhythm with the beat. Like, because people sometimes they don't look at that because it's not obvious. Have you heard about that before?
No, I don't know if I've ever seen that before, but if I did, I'd probably be like, man, that's pretty cool.
Because Slick Dog mentioned it. He called it beat calibration. And I think he took the term from No Bone Tyrone, which is another popper from like the West Coast. And it's just like if the beat's like a standard like boom, ka, in between you'll be like boom,
yeah,
like you're doing it with your body. Nobody's hearing it, but they could see that it's in rhythm with the with the song. So I thought that was interesting because I don't know if you remember this. I believe you're competing in this as well. It was the Battle of the Year, not the big Battle of the Year, Battle of the Year that Angel organized, and it was there was an all-stars battle here at the RWB.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that, like 2011, 2012,
No.
maybe.
Maybe.
It was at the RWB, and Lord, Popper from Montreal, was judging.
Oh, okay,
And
cool.
me and Mark got to hang out with him a lot, and then we talked to him about some stuff, and he's like, yeah, like sometimes, like he's like, I beat kill too much. I'm like, what do you mean you beat kill too much? Like,
That's what
I
you said?
kill, yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, I kill the beat too much, like. And then he was talking about the like Slick Dog's beat calibration thing, where you put a rhythm on top of the rhythm that's already existing there in the music. So
Cool.
I just thought, I don't know if anybody heard of that before, because it's not obvious. Like he's telling Lord, was telling me, it's not obvious.
Yeah.
When somebody's doing it, unless you're actually like, if you have like a keen eye for it.
Yeah. I'll probably look into that actually now.
And then the Lord was like, oh, it's sometimes you have to kill the beat because there's nothing else in the song that makes sense other than that one thing, right?
Usually, yeah.
But then, like, if it's just a full, like, the song that's going on with all its layers and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
you could do something different.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you get boring beats, like especially with popping. If you get like it's a loop, almost like a loop.
Yeah.
Right? Almost like breaking, how there's like a loop, and it's just okay. We already know what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
We already know you could beat kill this certain sound and that sound, and whatever. And you've already beat killed everything.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now what do you do? Like,
Yeah.
Another option is that beat calibration, where you just go with a different.
I think when a track has lyrics, it's not easier, but you have opportunity to actually do that a little bit more, because there's different sounds, right? And people can hear the lyrics more better than they can hear the beat. But
sometimes,
yeah, and you can just kind of mess around with that. But I've never heard of that, man. I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah, man, it's some interesting stuff. Have you heard of polyrhythms, where you do a different rhythm, or like it's a different rhythm with your upper body or some part of your body, and so one rhythm is like your upper body, then you're doing a different rhythm with your feet.
I think I've seen that before, yeah, but I've never messed around with that.
It's kind of like when Salah does that, where he does that tut, and then he does a wave with the other arm, and then he's doing that thing with his head and he's going around. It's kind of like that, and apparently a lot of house dancers do it. So
yeah, when it comes to exploring and doing more research, I haven't been able to do many of that, but that is stuff that I'll definitely take a look at, because every time you throw that stuff at me, I usually go look at it and I incorporate it right after.
I should just be like, every time you do something dope, I'll be like, yeah, I told him to do that.
It's like, patent, copyrights to Angelo. Go check out his podcast.
But no, it's cool that you're taking that because I feel like not enough people ask me questions that I feel like it could benefit people just by here's an answer that maybe you could use, and you could kind of just explore and then create your own thing, because all of that stuff is your own stuff. It's just I kind of like open the door for you here. Well, here's a little opening in the door. You can walk through if you want.
I find that as cool as the, I guess, dance scene we have here, a lot of times people aren't curious. They just assume that guy's really good and that's just the way he is, and they don't take the time to question and be curious. So I like to think I'm a little bit curious. I ask people stuff, ask you, right? I've talks with, like, I remember asking Lester like his videos and where he learned stuff. And like I forgot, I didn't mention like the local people I like watching.
Sure.
But, like Lester, all the B-boys actually. I like watching those guys because they're sick. Who else is there? Alomar. I enjoy watching him.
Alomar's another one who's like, I don't want to go against him during an all styles. Well, like I do and I don't. Like part of me is like, oh, if I do go against him, it's gonna be a tough battle. But if I don't go against him, like, okay, I'll make it probably a little bit further or something like that, right? But yeah, he's another one who's, I think he's also taken into account like the stuff you kind of do, and then he incorporates a little bit of that, and you could see that he really likes dancing.
Yeah, you can tell he's super energetic, and
Yeah.
then he trains quite a lot.
Mhm.
Like him, Shaq, like who else there? Mary Beth, of course.
Mary
Kelly.
Beth is I've been saying this for a while. Mary Beth has been like almost like underrated because I seen her like the last couple of years. I'm like, oh shit, like Mary Beth is like dope, but like nobody's like. I feel like it's kind of like nobody's like giving her as much props as like you or Alamar or some of the other people. But I really like watching her too.
Yeah, she's awesome. Like, she's incredible. She knows a lot of different dances, and like, she's in it. Like, she knows her stuff. You know, she's cool. But like, yeah, a lot of people don't question each other. Like, what do you do, or what do you listen to, or why do you think the way you do?
Yeah.
So I think last week or a couple weeks ago, I maybe had a couple hour conversation with Jeannie because.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
How did you guys start that conversation? Because I always find that like a hard thing to do, or I believe it's a hard thing to do.
Yeah.
Did you guys sit down and just like have a talk, or like were you guys just talking like in a corner somewhere, or like
Yeah, it was actually
meet at a bus stop or something like that?
It was honestly, it was work related. I asked him to be kind of just give me critiques on like a presentation.
Okay.
And then afterwards, we just started talking about dance, and like later, like an hour later, just like, yo, man, that's cool. But that's kind of just came up naturally. It wasn't like, yo, let's have a dance conversation.
Yeah.
Right. Because a lot of times people don't have those things. Right.
I think not. I think I've had it only with a few people, like probably just people in my crew, and then I had one with Kayla Jeanson, the videographer.
Yeah.
We were talking for like an hour and a half about like, oh, this like that. I want to do this. This is like, have you ever seen this? No, like, we're just talking about a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So where do you see your like dance career going? It seems like a very formal question, but
Yeah.
like, how do you see it going from like now until whenever?
Oh, that's a good question. Like, as for a dance career, I don't know. Like, I kind of just do it for fun. I've always just done it for fun, right? And then whenever the fun isn't there, I take time to move away.
Yeah.
To actually to come back when I can make it fun for myself again. I think right now it's I like being in that support role of going out to people's events and showing face, because I think that's a big deal to have, showing that support to any shows in the community. But as for teaching and traveling, I don't know. I don't think I'm like, anything here I'll support, but like to go venture out, maybe once I have more time for myself to actually do that and travel. Who wouldn't? Like,
traveling is such a like it's such a like a fun thing, as far as even if you're there and you're just a spectator and you're just a fan of the dance, it's crazy to watch everything.
Yeah.
Like I've seen do you know who Slim Boogie is? I've seen Slim Boogie freaking like super close to me. It's like, oh, and like killing the beat, and he's in his battle mode, so he's like battling this dude from I think China, Dino, and he's like, oh shoot, like it's a crazy energy. And even if I wasn't battling in that specific event, I'd be like, oh shoot, I got to see that, and it's like an experience, right?
Yeah.
So I'm sure you've had that when you went to Chicago, or if you went to other places like where you traveled.
Yeah, it's a different level. Definitely, it opens your eyes, I feel like.
Yeah.
So for me, like, I'd love to go check out New York, California.
Have you been there before?
No, I've never been. Everyone says I should go to Vancouver, Toronto. Like, you have to go there, right? Or Montreal.
Yeah.
Even, but those are things on my bucket list. I want to be able to go, I guess, with dance career, right? But just like go explore those places. Japan, I want to go to Japan for sure, and France,
Korea, man.
And
Korea is like everything is in Korea.
Yeah, everything's Korea.
Just go to the right Korea, don't go to the north.
Just not North Korea, right? Yeah. But those are the things I want to be able to do. Like, not so much, like teach or anything like that. I'm down to do it if people are open to learn. But as for that stuff, I'd be down to travel.
Um, is there any other particular way that you practice, or because I remember I think I asked you one time like, or I was talking to you and you said like, oh, I didn't even really practice for this or for this battle or this jam. Or
Yeah,
whatever.
I don't.
And, but I think I think a lot of it comes from you just having fun with it, like you being conscious of the music. Okay, I'm aware of it, and then okay, now I'm just gonna have fun.
Yeah,
and people kind of forget that. You see people, and I'm guilty of it too. But they're like, oh, I guess they're not really having fun with this whole thing that they're doing.
Yeah,
they're just there. Just trying.
I think that's the first thing. You have to have fun with it. Like any training, I don't, because before, honestly, I would dance in my house. Yeah. I'd get popped for like being a closet dancer. Like people would come downstairs and then they'd see, like, what are you doing? Oh, just working out. Right? Just all sweaty. Like, okay. But yeah, no, I like back then I would always just have music playing in the background if I was playing like video games and stuff. And if I like won a game, I'd just like bust out. Right? And it wasn't like conscious, like, okay, I'm gonna practice to get crazy. But I think that's where you're gonna see a lot of the better dancers could have come out from that, because they turned the fun into something serious. For me, it was always just fun, and I'll just dance. I think when I was at my point where I was really like interested and serious, I would do my research. I think the first thing is having fun with it, and then being able to listen to music and find a way where if I hear this track, what's the message? Right? What's the lyrics say? And I'd even look up like AZ lyrics and I'd look it up, or Rap Genius, whatever. Yeah. Because you can click on the word and it has this whole story about it. But I'd break down the lyrics and be like, okay, this song's about trying to get with a girl kind of deal. And if I get this song in an event, or if I'm freestyling and I kind of, create that image, I'm trying to get with you to a random person in the crowd. Yeah. And they start turning red. Then I did it, I win. Yeah, because there's probably like other people are like, oh man, that's pretty slick, and then and it just goes from there. But like having fun with it, finding a way to have fun with it, and then relate to somebody, make yourself relatable, adaptable. Those are two big things.
One thing that Salah told me, like Salah directly told me. No, it was through a video. I was like,
he called you up, right?
I'm like, what? Salah? This is Salah. Yeah. Like,
Angelo,
you have to do this. He was I lost my train of thought. But okay, no, he's saying make it make sense to the audience. Yeah. So whatever you do, like he was doing his miming stuff. Yeah. And he's like, oh, this is. See, if I have this as a ball or whatever, and then he's like, you have to make it make sense to the audience. So then that goes back to being relatable. So that's good advice for like somebody just coming up and trying to.
If you ever watch me now, I do exactly the same stuff since like 2011.
You know what? It's interesting because. I don't think you need that many moves to win a battle. Mm-hmm. Like, there's this theory that I stole from Otis Funkmeyer, and he does these popping commentaries. He watches Kite a lot, and then he gives his like commentary on it. And he's like, yeah, Kite has like a lot of the same moves, but he just mutates them a little bit. And it changes, like maybe it changes the timing a little bit, the rhythm to the music, and it's the same stuff, but it's still sick because it's like to the music, and it's just like a little mutation on what he already did. So that's what I feel like you've done a lot, especially with some angles where I see like, oh yeah, I've seen that angle before, but it still looks like fresh. Where did you get your name from, Joe Fresh?
Joe Fresh.
Is it just from like Superstore?
Yeah, Superstore, man. I love that.
Real Canadian Superstore.
Low cost, good value. No, I came up with Joe Fresh at the time. I think it was after I recovered from my knee surgery, and I was just messing around. It was all basketball related, to be honest. I don't know if you know who Brandon Jennings is. He plays for New York Knicks.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, he's not the greatest now, but back then he was like in your face point guard. And at the time, he was the guy who was like messing around with hairstyles. Like he always had something crazy going on. And then he had the flat top. I was like, oh man, that's sweet. I want that. And then I approached one of my homies, Scott Ramos.
Okay.
Yeah. Famous. Check out Saint. It's like around the corner from here. But yeah, I came up to him with this idea. Like, hey man, I want to grow a flat top, right? And it's like, I'm Filipino. Like, can you do it?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, man, don't worry about it. I got your back. And then we kept going with it. Like, we just started growing it out. And then at the time, I was playing this game. I don't know if a lot of kids might know it. It's called Subway Surfer.
No, I don't know.
Go check it on your phone. It's free. It's just like it's kind of like that running game where you kind of just
Okay.
yeah. Anyway,
It's like Temple Run.
yeah, like Temple
Okay.
Run, right?
Yeah, I get you.
But the idea is like you're a graffiti. You just take something and you run away from the cops.
Yeah.
So there's one guy in particular in that game. His name's called Fresh, and then he's wearing He has a boombox, and then he has a flat top, and he has glasses.
Oh,
I'm like,
okay.
yo, man, this guy looks like me. And then a lot of people mess up my name, Jonel. People confuse it with like Jonel or Janelle or Junel, right? So, so I'm like, okay, let's just drop the Nell and put Fresh. And I'm growing out my hair, so Joe Fresh. And then I don't know, it gets stuck. I was in my whole phase of collecting Chicago Bulls memorabilia, like old school Bulls stuff. So I'd always rock the jacket. I had my flat top, and I'd dance like 90s old school, Joe Fresh, and it just stuck. And people, I guess, they liked it. So.
Well, it's good that you only have like a couple of names rather than Winston, who has like 1,000 names.
Hey,
Winston,
man.
Temps, Watermelon, Winston, Prince Ifrit. Like what? Make up your mind, man. There's so many names.
Yeah, man. Maybe different personality for each character.
Maybe I only see one though. Winston, I'm calling you out. Just kidding.
Oh.
Joking. Was it hard growing that flat top, or like was the care with it? Is your hair thick?
My hair is really thick.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it kind of it's better.
It's
to
super
mold.
thick. Yeah, like I can grow a fro if I wanted to. I had a fro when we were kids.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a mini. Fro.
Yeah,
Yeah,
my hair is thick as can
I figured
be.
that. My hair's not
Yeah.
like that kind of. It's not
Yeah.
that kind of thick.
Super
but
thick. So if I grow it up, it's actually a flat top. So
That's neat. That's
yeah.
crazy.
I haven't grown it. I think I chopped it off because Scott he moved out east to Montreal before,
Okay.
and then I chopped it off, and I was like, okay, no longer Joe Fresh. Just call me Joe, guys. Yeah.
Are there any teachers that you want to mention, like, or anybody who's influenced you that you want to mention that people should know about, like that would be able to help them as well if they're looking for inspiration or advice?
Oh
through
man,
dance?
there's so much people, man. Like I think when it comes to being inspired, it's just what you're looking for, right? You can be inspired by like the littlest things. Like you inspire me.
Oh, thanks, man.
Oh yeah, nice smile. Okay, but like you,
guys can't see me on smiling.
like Mark, just those little things like diving in funk styles that inspired me to like learn how to get into those things. Lester with house, like Kellyanne, Mary Beth with dance hall, like all the young guys coming up doing crazy stuff, choreography.
Mm-hmm.
I watch those things. Like there's so many names, Elite Force, Sean Evaristo, like the Jabwalkies.
Yeah.
I don't know who Joe. I think it's Joe. I forget his last name, but he's part of the Jabwalkies. He's one of the ones who are like not as known.
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
he goes by Emo Nation. I don't know.
Joe Nation.
Yeah, Imagination or something like that. But
funny.
but he's sick. Like I watched him, and then I think I tried to cater my style to him because like he did one set where he goes off to John Legend's Ordinary People.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, and he kills it. I was like, oh shoot, man, that's like something I would try to do. So he's a big inspiration. Go check him out, Joe something.
Jabwalkies.
Jabwalkies.
Go Jabwalkies.
Yeah, just go Joe Jabwalkies. Who else is there? Freaking Joel Natok. Joel
Oh, really?
Natak, yeah, he's big inspiration coming up. The Pandas, those guys, I like watching those guys. DG, definitely. Go check out all those guys. If you're a young up and coming dancer, check them out.
I think it's interesting. Any shout outs you want to give?
Shout outs. I want to shout out to who else right now? All the AG dancers who don't dance anymore.
We're just living life.
Living life. Shout outs to all the teams still carrying it, holding the torch and running with it right now. Remedial crowd, shout out to those guys. Shout out to CCAT Project, Live,
Boss,
Wolves, all those guys. Shout out to, I don't know. There's so much people to shout out.
There's a lot of people to shout out.
Yeah.
Shout out to anybody who's not been on the podcast yet and trying to dodge me, because they should come and I think it's really a fun thing to do. And I want to thank you for coming and spending your time with us, because I know it's a bit of a time thing where it's like, oh, I don't have time for this, I have time for that. So making time for this podcast, and I think it's going to benefit a lot of people listening to it.
Yeah.
So I want to keep it going for a while yet, and we're just trying to book even like out of town people. I don't know if you heard the podcast with Buddha from Ottawa, the OG Buddha.
Cool. I haven't.
We did that one with a bunch of other dancers. And Frost, do you know who Frost is from Toronto?
Yeah.
And it was like a huge table one where it was like 10 other people. It's like Frost, Bob, Buddha, Lunacy.
Yeah.
So we're just trying to get people like that who are really inspiring, and have them talk about what they do, and help uplift people, and also make them laugh a little bit, and also inform them, let them know, this guy's been doing it, or this girl's been doing it for a while, and you guys should check them out.
Oh, one thing. I think if anybody is to look up somebody, look up Wiggles. I think that was one of the first videos I ever watched, and it blew my mind. When he's like in the streets, he had crazy long hair.
Oh shit!
And he's in the beige suit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Mr. Wiggles. Yeah, and he does this moonwalk or backslide on his knees.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy. And he does his crazy tuts. That's when he was like, oh, he's going off.
There's so many videos, but
Mr. Wiggles is sick. Have you seen that one with Just a Boo 2008, where he's wearing red, like a red shirt and a red hat, and he does some like tutting?
I think so. Wow, there's so much, man.
2008. That's one of the first ones I saw from him when he came back, because he was inactive for a while, right? Mm-hmm. He stopped traveling for a while. Then he came back in 2008, and I saw that when I was in college. And I'm like, oh shoot, this guy is crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, thanks for being on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
I'd like to thank Canadian Footwear. We Fit You, 3 locations. They provide us this room to do our podcast in.
That's pretty cool.
So it's awesome. Go check them out if you need footwear. All right, CypherTalk. Peace out.
Peace.